Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. Today we are very excited that we're going to give a host a very interesting talk on a timely topic. Experiments with social coordination in hybrid systems of humans and bots. And our speaker will be Professor Hirokazu Shirado. He is an assistant professor of the Human-Computer Interaction Institute in the School of Computer Science at Carnegie Mellon University. In case you're not familiar, this is one of the best universities in computer science all over the world. His research focuses on hybrid systems of humans and machines, particularly how machine intelligence can help people address the challenges of collective action. Professor Shirado, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hirokazu Shirado from Carnegie Mellon University. I'm very excited to share my work in this webinar. The title is the introduction says experiment with social coordination in hybrid system of human and bot. So like this seminar series, I also have organized workshop about computational social science. Then I'm often asked about this question: what is computational social science? So I think the simplest answer should be social science and computer science. The most precisely data science, as the name speaks for itself. In other words, good computational social science comes by merging the best of each knowledge about humanity and machines. How well humans and machines work in an interaction is a cutting-edge topic in computational social science because the research activities in themselves are product of human-computer interaction. So today I'm talking about my research focusing on this regard. I've been studying how machine intelligence can help people to address challenges in collective action, such as social coordination and cooperation. Humans have evolved the ability to form complex networks of social connection. It's so complex if you study the social networks. However, interconnected group of people face challenges in collective action. Individual may see no optimal way to act when individual and group benefit are not aligned. So I've been exploring the potential of machine intelligence to address such collective action problems. To explore such potential, I mainly use experiments with real human participants recruited online. So that is, my experiment is not computer simulation. I recruited real people from online, then let them play some economically incentivized social interaction game. Then in the group, I sometimes add bot as experiment treatment and let them interact with human players. I then analyze their behavioral data at both individual and group level to make robust causal inference from machine behavior to collective action of human groups. So one strength of the experiment to allow us to make robust causal inference that could not allow us to do similar level of causality in observational study. Okay, so in this talk, I'm introducing 3 papers from my past and recent experiment in computational social science. So let me start with the first one, the old one. The paper's title is Locally Noisy Autonomous Agent Improve Global Human Coordination in Network Experiment. It was published by Nature in 2017. So in this study, we explored a way to address the failure of social coordination by partial optimization. So for example, narrowly focused worker might each labor to enhance their own productivity, but this might not actually increase overall group performance. So more generally speaking, even if all individuals behave properly in their local interaction, this may not result in optimal outcome for the entire community. I know it sounds awkward, but it often happens if you if you in some large organization. For example, I worked for a large company before I joining the PhD, and there are a lot of potential problems happen in my organization. So my research question is how individuals can facilitate collective action. Here is facilitate social coordination to solve this partial optimization problem. So I know there are many studies to study, for example, network topology or organizational structure to facilitate social coordination. But I think in practice, it's very difficult and costly to observe an entire social system and to manipulate people like godlike power. So to explore a realistic solution, I focus on the role of individuals embedded in a social network like us. So to understand the role of individuals, I use a bot, that is artificial agent, in social network experiment and made them interact with real human participants. That is, I created a hybrid system between humans and the bot in the online experiment. So as an interaction system to study social coordination problem, I used color coordination game in this study. So this game was inspired from graph coloring problem in computer science and developed by other researchers, not mine. So Michael Kahn's group developed this experiment to study social coordination, inspired from a famous graph coloring problem in computer science. Okay, so let me explain this game. First, players assign a node of network like this, randomly assigned. In the game, each player selects their node color from 3 options, orange, green, and purple. And the game's goal is that all players select a different color from their local neighbor. So they just need to differentiate from their neighbors with 3 color options. And if a player chooses the same color with a neighbor like this, it's called a color conflict. Indicated here is a red line, this right? Then game finishes when all conflicts are solved like this. So if you check for each node, then you can see all players all nodes select a different node color from their local neighbors. For example, this node selected purple, then all neighbors choose green or orange. Okay, so every player, every node choose a different color from their local neighbor, but then game is finished. So that means that people solve this game. Then researcher can evaluate the capability of social coordination at a group by measuring the time to solve the color conflict. Not individual level, the group level coordination capability. Okay, and in the game, player can change their color anytime they want during the game. So let me show the actual player view in the experiment. Here there are 3 key points about the gameplay. The first, player cannot see the global situation like a real world situation. They can see only their network neighbor and their color. Okay, so in this case, this player has 4 local neighbors, but they know they have more players beyond this local neighbor. Second, when they solve the coordination problem more quickly, player can earn more money from the game. So you can see here the counting timer with bonus here. And this timer count down from 5 minutes to 0 with this bonus decreasing. So if they solve this puzzle as soon as possible, they can earn this money immediately. So that means the players economically incentivized to solve this game as quickly as possible. Third, players have to work together as a group for the game. If they couldn't solve the game with leaving even a single conflict in the group, all the players don't get paid. So for example, even if, for example, this neighbor choose green, then they solve this puzzle locally, but maybe still there are some color conflict beyond their local neighbor. The game is still going on. Even this player's bonus is also decreasing. So that means they needed to work together to address to all color conflict in this game. Okay, so let's see the actual gameplay of real humans. There are 20 human participants in the network. At the beginning of the game, the node color is randomly assigned for each subject. So there are a lot of color conflict. That means that there are a lot of red edges in the first place. Then, as I told you, when all conflicts are solved, the game will be completed. So let's see how real people interact in this condition, in these settings. So this game is easy. Participants trying to resolve the local conflict very quickly, but sometimes they are stuck in dead end. Then they try new color configuration, and they are stuck again. So here, these players have no conflict for a long time, but the game is still going on because other players still have a conflict. So the subject keep on finding a solvable configuration. So you can see this game is so easy in the local situation, but sometimes it's not that easy at the global level. For example, for this session, the game haven't solved yet, over 4 minutes. Then it's almost there. Solved. But they use almost 5 minutes to finish, to solve this looks like easy game in this session. So here are sample comments from actual human players after the game. The first 3 come from unsolved session, and the last one come from solved session. Then you can see how players emotionally responded to this game. Also, for example, this player said like someone is a useless idiot and it's not me. But when I analyzed the session of this player, I found this player actually was a bottleneck of this game session. Because of this player, the game wasn't solved in 5 minutes. But this is a typical in the social coordination problem. Everyone, including the bottleneck people, do not understand why our coordination does not work well and do not optimize. So the color coordination game emulates realistic circumstance of social coordination as objective behavior phenomena and as subjective psychological distress. So as I mentioned, using the color coordination game, I evaluated network intervention to improve group coordination using bot. So I put 3 bots in the social network having 17 human players. So in other words, I replaced 3 human players with artificial agent. So because this is artificial agent, we can control artificial agent, right? We can program this behavior of artificial agent. So please think about what behavior can accelerate this social coordination process and make them reach the goal as quickly as possible. That is my research question as of 2016, how these bots can accelerate the coordination process of a group of people. So to consider the bot parameter, I examined the social coordination process of only human networks. Then I found the point is, as you can see the animation, even if all individuals behave properly in their local, this does not always result in the optimal outcome for the entire network. For example, I took this screenshot from the animation you can observe. Then as of 105 seconds, only one color conflict in the network. But actually, all the players, including this orange guy, choose the best color for themselves. So that means the least conflict color in the local situation. For example, if this player changed the color from orange to purple, they increase the local conflict, right? The other player also too. So that's why I call this is a dead end. So to solve all conflict and complete the conflict coordination, they need to overcome this local minimum, even though the conflict temporarily increase. This difficulty can be seen as a challenge of global optimization. This is a simple illustration of solution space, just a toy model. And it contains 2 locally optimal states separated by a bump. And the point A is a local minima, but the point B is better. So to escape from point A to reach point B, the system needs something. According to prior theoretical works, noise can work in this situation. So that means shaking this environment and try to escape from this local minima to reach the optimal state. That means point B. For example, in biology, mutation has an essential role in evolution. In the field of computer science, programmers often include some random factor in the algorithms to try to avoid such a reach at just stuck in the local minima. Also, in physics, noise can be seen as a heat to make particles move. So my idea is simple, just to apply the functional role of noise to our social world. But that sounds counterintuitive and even paradoxical. Some irrational behavior in individuals that are seemingly human errors actually improve our social coordination ability. The tension between ego and the group is indeed a corrective action problem. So to test the noise effect, I manipulate bot behavior in this way. This is a control diagram of how bots play in the game. So first of all, bots play under the same condition with human players. They cannot recognize the global situation. They cannot manipulate the entire people. They play only with their local view, with their behavior. So within this basic setup, I program bot behavior with some randomness. So in the 0% noise condition, the bot behave with simple greedy strategy. So that the bot is perfect for their local neighbors. When a bot had a chance to minimize color conflict with its neighbor, it chose the best color. Otherwise, it maintains the last one. So basically, 0% noise bot choose the best color for their local conflict. That means choosing the least conflict color with them. In other two conditions, bots behave with the same greedy strategy most of the time, but they also randomly picked out a color regardless of their local situation with a probability of 10% or 30%. Independent of the noise in the bot behavior, I also manipulated the location of these three bots in the network based on the number of neighbors. That is degree centrality in network science. So here is a random, and the center, that means the bot having the most connection, or on the periphery, like this, the bot having a fewest connection. So in sum, the treatment of bot are three levels of the noise, 0%, 10%, 30%, across by the geodesic location, the random, center, periphery. That is 9 treatmental combinations. In total, I conduct the experiment in 250 sessions with over 4,000 people. In other words, I created 250 small virtual society for over 4,000 real people with bots. So this is the main result of this experiment. So I know it's a bit complicated, so let me explain the detail of the result. The lines are survival curves of session at group level, not individual level again. This is a group level. The y-axis shows the survival proportion, that is a percentage of the unsolved session within the game time indicated the x-axis. So let me explain the detail of the survival curves of this light blue line. The light blue line is only human sessions. And I put in light blue line all the cells, but actually all the lines are identical. I just put in this light blue line for all the cells to compare with dark blue line. So let me pick up this light blue line. Then when the game started, so that means 0 seconds, all sessions haven't solved yet. So because I randomly allocated the color to all the players, all sessions haven't solved yet at time just game started. Then as time goes by, some sessions solve. Then 5 minutes. For this case, it's only human sessions. 10 of the 30 sessions. So that is 33%. Here, 33% of sessions are still unsolved regarding only human networks. So as for the survival curves, basically the steeper slope. The steeper slope means the game is likely to solve quickly. That indicated the higher level group coordination. So if the line is steeper, that means higher level of group coordination. So let's see the dark blue line. That is the session of human and bot having indicated behavior noise, 0%, 10%, 30%, and geodesic location, like randomness, random and center and periphery. So the p-value are given by the log-rank test. That is the most simple evaluation to compare the two survival distribution between light blue line and dark blue line. So as you can see, the session having bot with 10% noise and center locations was the most likely to be solved with allotted 5 minutes. The solution time reflected a significant improvement compared with the session without bot. So the results support the hypothesis of the positive impact of behavior noise on human coordination, but only in the center location. So let me explain why. But before that, I also a little bit emphasize on the network structure effect. In this study, I haven't told you yet, but I newly created networks for every session by a preferential attachment model. The network algorithm guarantees every network has at least one solution with 3 colors. So that means that all the players can solve this puzzle given the network I created. And all networks look similar, like same number of the node, and same number of the links. But by chance, the networks vary in their number of solutions. So for example, the left network here has only 24 solvable color combinations with 3 colors. Instead, the right network has more than 400 solutions. I think it's hard to see the difference visually between 2 networks, but the left network is harder to solve compared to the right one. So I conducted further analysis with incorporating the intrinsic solvability of the network using Cox proportional hazard model. They are the sample networks when the game starts and finishes by different number of solutions. Here, the only 24 fewer solutions, and here the network of many solutions. And different network location is like here the periphery net location, and here the central location. The statistical analysis shows that when the network affords many solutions, the beneficial impact of bots actually decreases. So that means that because these networks allow people to solve easily, bot doesn't matter. So when the network have many solutions, bot behavior randomness and placement doesn't matter. On the other hand, when the network has few solutions, so that means harder network, like left panels, only the central location and the small noise level of bot lead to a solution. So in short, the bot is especially helpful when the problem is hard. Then I also want to show another analysis to examine why the bot with small noise and central location improves the group coordination. In theory, yeah, it's aligned with the theoretical prediction of global optimization with noise. But we can also analyze why it happened with the actual data. So here is a hypothetical network for just for data visualization, because you can easily to compare the differences amongst the bot treatment. And the bot are all located center. The color of network diagram shows the rate of player choosing wrong color in their local conflict. So if their node color is white, then the human behavior are the same as the situation they do not have a bot. Okay. Then if the node color more blue, so that means that they are more stuck in the locally best color. Then if the node color is more red, so that means that they are more deviant from the local best. Then choose other color from the local best color. So the bot with 0% behavior noise like this, players actually reduce their noisy behavior. So that made the player come to be stuck in unsolvable conflict for a long time. On the other hand, the bot with 30% behavior randomness destabilize the entire network. You can see the red color, and made difficult to settle down in optimal state. So too much noise and system does not settle down to the optimal state. Then the bot with 10% behavior randomness create the ideal landscape of noisiness for the entire network to solve conflict. The bot increase the randomness of the central players who often need to overcome a local minima. So such a like unresolved local conflict often happen in the center of the network. Then if they have more noisy, then they can more likely to escape from local minima. But at the same time, the peripheral player is more stuck to the local best color. And that is good because the peripheral player have never such unresolvable local conflict. So actually, if we putting a little bit noisy bot in the center in the network, then we can create the ideal landscape of the noisiness to solve this global optimization problem. Okay, so that's the first experiment about social coordination optimization with noisy bot. So if you have a question, I'm happy to take it at the end of the talk, but just mention about, hey, I have a question about the first study of this noisy bot one. Okay, let's move on to the second one. This study used the same methodological techniques and apply it a different challenge in collective action, that is cooperation. So cooperation can be more challenging because it creates a social dilemma. Some of you might know this problem because it's well known. The group that's best if individuals cooperate, but for each individual, there's a temptation to defect, known as the free rider problem. For example, resource depletion, climate change, and public health practice all can be seen as a challenge of cooperation. To explore the solution to address the cooperation problem, I set up another online experiment, like social coordination, using so-called public goods game. So this is a screenshot of my experiment in the cooperation experiment. So the game consists, so it's different, it's a little bit different from color coordination game. This game is round-based. So the game consists of multiple rounds, and player choose one choice per one round. Here have to make choice between option A and option B with the previous behavior, previous choice with their local neighbors. So if you read this option, you can see like I didn't use the word intentionally, but the blue choice A is defection. So that means not cooperating and free riding. And the orange choice B is cooperation. So that means giving some money to their local neighbors to give benefit to them. So this game is multiplayer version of prisoner dilemma or donation game. The player choosing defection pay no cost and provide no benefit. Those choosing cooperation pay cost to all their neighbors in order to give them benefit. Okay. So the network diagram shows now player has 3 neighbors named J2, G7, and Y9. And this player and J2 and G7 chose cooperation option in the last round, and Y9 chose defection option, that means A, in the last round. Then asking you to whether to choose A or B in this setting. Okay. Then in this example, these players keep choosing option B, so that means cooperation. Then after choosing whether to cooperate, with some frequency, players are asked whether they make a tie with the new player and whether break a tie with the current neighbor. And I call this setting tie rewiring option. Then with the new neighbors, updated neighbors, players choose whether to cooperate again. They repeatedly make the decision over 30 rounds. So this is a typical dynamics of human cooperation in a network. In these network figures, every dot is a person, so that means the experimental participant, and every line is a relationship between people, and these are artificial networks with real people at round one. For the first round, so that means I created the network structure and dropped the real people into a particular point of the network and introduce them to their neighbors. But after the first round, as I showed you with the game view, the tie rewiring option, people change their network structure spontaneously by making and breaking a tie with others with tie rewiring option. So that means that at round one is the artificial network, but over round, the network structure is more spontaneous one. And node color indicates their choice between cooperation and defection. The blue node are those people choosing cooperation, that is sharing some money with their neighbors. Red nodes are those choosing defection, keeping their money for themselves and enjoy their neighbors' cooperation. So in this session, about 65% of people start with cooperation, but eventually defection takes over the social system. Now this group is not productive and sustainable anymore. And this is typical. Many theoretical and empirical studies have repeatedly shown without certain treatment, cooperation decays over time. So my research question is again very similar to the previous one. How can bots facilitate human cooperation? If we can introduce bot of this type of the cooperation network, how bot can improve the level of coordination? What bot strategy can make people give up pursuing self-interest and allow cooperation take root like this? So to consider the effect, please consider about what strategy works. So I hope you have some idea. Oh, okay, so if we can run this experiment, I program the bot like this. Actually, this is really hard program. So to do that for me, I first investigate actual pattern of human cooperation in network with a preliminary experiment. So this right figure shows the cooperation probability distribution of average human player. So here the x-axis is number of local neighbors, and the y-axis number of cooperators in local neighbors. Then, for example, this case, this player has 5 neighbors, so that number of local neighbors is 5. And 3 of 5 players chose cooperation in the last round. So that means that here the 3 of the number of cooperators in local neighbor. So here, then the node color is slightly blue. So that means that this player is slightly likely to choose cooperation rather than defection if the player is average of like 100 people. So this is not theoretical result. This is the empirical result of my preliminary experiment. So people are less likely to cooperate. So that means it's more red color with increasing the neighborhood size and decreasing the neighborhood quality. And this is reasonable and it's actually align well with various theory in social sciences. So given the distribution, which should a bot do for the connected person? Cooperation or defection? The cooperation, of course. There is no reason for human to choose cooperation more as a neighboring bot free riding to her. The bot should always cooperate. But it can be not enough to change group dynamics to favor cooperation, especially when bots are few. So we need further intervention. My idea to leverage network connection to make the bot intervention more effective. From the egocentric perspective, the cooperative bots, so let's suppose the bot always cooperates. Then bot can choose to attach the human player or detach or specific people. But actually, the bot additional cooperative tie are less likely to improve human cooperation at all. So these allow indicated the trajectory of environment change from a certain neighborhood. This is a specific neighborhood, like a 10 neighbors, and 5 of them chose cooperation in the last round. But any point is fine. Then let's think about cooperative bot attaching this player or detaching this player. So that means that increasing number of local neighbor and increasing number of local cooperator, or vice versa. You can see this direction, almost no color change, because the effect of neighborhood quality actually cancel out the negative effect of network size, neighborhood size. So both may not change human cooperation with their cooperative tie switching. So in this study, I proposed and tested both intervention with tie rewiring suggestion. So in contrast that both rewire their own ties, they give a tie rewiring option to their connected player to make or break a tie with another individual. So tie brokerage offers greater flexibility. So compared to this, they can also have this direction. So that means that especially this direction to improve cooperation. So you can see a more blue color is that suggesting connected partner to cut a tie with defected person. So not ask them to connect more. Actually, if the bot asks a partner to decreasing connection, then that could help them to improve cooperation. Okay. So from this slide, I'm showing the experimental result. This graph shows the result of only human session and no bot. The light gray line shows each session percentage of human cooperators across round, and the black line shows average. The orange dashed line shows average cooperation rate at the first round. So as I showed before, without intervention, people cannot maintain cooperation. Defection eventually becomes predominant. However, with a tie management bot suggesting a cut or link with a non-cooperative outer, almost all the sessions. So all the sessions show cooperation improvement. At the end of the game, cooperation improved by 40% on average with the time management intervention. So the bot intervention strongly affects human cooperation. I confirm that even a single bot can promote group cooperation when they use the time management strategy. The network snapshots are the example of cooperation and network change over round with and without bot. So human cooperation pattern change from this to this only by adding a single bot. That is, bot can work as a catalyst of social networks and collective action. So as this change by bot is salient, you might see this cooperation problem easy. It looks like human easily manipulated by bot to enjoy the cooperation. But actually the problem is much harder than it looks. Actually, I tested over 8 strategies or policies for bot to promote human cooperation. And some of the strategy might be similar to what you come up when I introduce this problem. And actually, only the disengaged time management strategy can promote cooperation in humans. So this graph shows a per round change in cooperation among human participants. So these negative values mean the human cooperation decay over time like this. So many bot strategy, including famous tit-for-tat strategy, doesn't work in these settings. So only the disengaged time management strategy helps bot facilitate human cooperation. Our result, not just maintaining, even improving cooperation is rare experimental evidence. So our work has inspired various researchers considering the cooperation challenges. So this is one of the examples. Google DeepMind team built on our work to use deep reinforcement learning to explore the solution space more comprehensively and confirm our findings. Also, they find a more nuanced and more effective strategy to improve human coordination more efficiently using our experimental setup. So if you are interested in the extension of our work, please check this year's Nature Human Behaviors paper. Okay. I know my talk should be in the 45 minutes, but allow me to use extra 10 minutes to introduce the last one, because I'm so excited to introduce my recent work. The paper just came out this week by PNAS. So in the first two studies, I told you, I introduced a new paradigm of human-computer interaction and social computing. That is hybrid social system of human and machine. As a development of machine intelligence, machine can behave as actors somewhat automatically and influence humans. Humans also can take machines as actors through interaction on social networks. But the recent use of machine intelligence, like ChatGPT, is also integrated into each human individual. That is, we can see another form of human-machine integration. That is a group of hybrid actors of human and machines. Let me give you an example. When you drive along a country road, you might have this type of experience. One lane, two cars. You have two choices, go straight or swerve. So this table models the interaction structure. B represent the benefit you can earn by reaching your destination straightforwardly. The C represent the cost you will pay by swerving off-road and losing time. So this structure called the chicken game in the game theory, and it's often studied like why the coordination doesn't work in some situation like this. So what's interesting here is strategic interdependence. So your best choice depends on your partner choice. So if your partner goes right, you should swerve, right? Like B minus C is larger than 0. But if your partner swerve, you should go straight. So B is larger than B minus C. It's also true with your partner. So when both delay their decision to wait for your counterpart decision, they eventually come to a collision, which is the worst outcome in this setting. So good news is we humans are intelligent enough to have reciprocity. That is taking turns giving way to address this kind of joint problem if they repeatedly play this interaction settings, this interaction situation. But now, machine intelligence comes in. For example, driving assistant for safety. I took this picture from Nissan website that explains how their autonomous assistant works in the actual car. So how does this kind of semi-automation affect our norm of reciprocity? Safety assistant actually transform the interaction structure. People won't crash, even if both go straight with such a auto-steering assistant, right? So in the payoff structure, this cell change from 0 to B minus C asterisk. So C asterisk indicates the cost of automatic steering. So if C asterisk is smaller than C, so that is the cost of manual driving. So that means that basically, if you allow the machine to automatically swerve, then the cost, if the cost is smaller than if you swerve manually, then the player's best option is going straight. Okay? So regardless of their partner choice. And then in the before, you can see this arrow is opposite. But now, because the intelligent assistant changed the payoff structure here, the both arrow is up. So that means that regardless of your partner choice, you should go straight. So in other words, auto-steering assistant dissolve strategic interdependence between people. Because the joint problem is now decoupled, ironically, people might focus on self-interest and reciprocity can be gone. So we have tested the theoretical prediction by realizing the interaction concept. That means we realize the chicken game in the real world. This experiment involved palm-sized robot remotely controlled by online participant. That means you cannot see the participant in this picture. So this boy is not a participant. He's just watching how grown-ups are struggling to be nice with each other. So I want to explain the detail behind the scene, but I can say a lot of cutting-edge technology work together to address many technical difficulties in this remote control operation. Now we run the experiment very smoothly without making participants realize this technical complexity. So we can use this system to examine various types of hybrid systems involving human and machine in a physical environment. But let me go back to the original study by PNS. So in this study, we have two treatments, active safety assistant and messaging capability. So in the active safety assistant, we have 4 conditions. In the manual condition, players control their car manually. Then they needed to avoid the obstacle on their own. The auto braking, in the auto braking condition, the car automatically stops in a certain distance with obstacles, but player needed to avoid, so that means they needed to swerve manually to avoid obstacles. The auto steering condition, the car automatically stops when they almost crash. So that means the player doesn't need to control the car to avoid obstacles. And in the fourth condition, they have both auto braking and steering at the same time. Independent on active safety assistant, we also manipulate the message capability. In that means half of the session, they have the function to communicate with each other using preformed messages. That is, go ahead and thank you, like this. So let's see some actual sessions. So again, it looks like a virtual, but it is real. And these 2 cars controlled by 2 strangers. And here, round 1, blue cars swerve and give way to yellow cars. That's why yellow car can go straight to reach a goal. Here's round 1. And you have speed out round 2, yellow cars swerve. And then round 3, the blue cars swerve. So it's so peaceful coordination emerge from this group. That is, we called alternating reciprocity. So they activated the norm of reciprocity to address this anti-coordination situation. So let's see other sessions. These pairs behave very differently. Again, they come from online, 1,000 miles away. So you can see that they wait for the decision, then they swerve simultaneously, same time. Then this is round 1 and round 2, the same things happen. Round 3, this is not computer simulation. They control their car in the experiment, but it's actually the same things happen over and over again across round. That is, they are both chicken. They just avoid their counterpart like a stone, and it's inefficient because both didn't use the main road, at least in some part. So in both sessions, human participants play the same game using the same settings, except for intelligence assistant. In the bottom session, the car was equipped with an auto-steering system. So when the cars almost make a crash with the obstacle, they swerve automatically without human control. And the human players know their car and their counterparts have the auto-steering system. So here is all sessions result. The x-axis shows the rounds. So as I told you, each session has 10 rounds. And y-axis shows the session ID. So each condition has 15 sessions. And the color indicated the 4 types of paired behavior. For example, yellow means the yellow card turns and blue card goes straight. The blue means the blue card turns and the yellow card goes straight. And the gray means both cards swap. And the red means that they got crushed. And that means that alternating reciprocity shows the yellow and blue card, blue cells take turns. So like highlighted with bold line. So while several sessions with manual driving have alternating reciprocity, like you can see, but there's no session having such sociality with auto-steering assistant. So even with auto-braking, if they have some auto-steering, almost no session having alternating reciprocity, you can see. So as I told you, we also implemented the messaging function. And the messaging function actually helps them to have such a reciprocity. So you can see in the manual condition and the auto-braking condition, the likelihood of reciprocity increase with messaging function, so this direction. But there is almost no differences in the when they have auto-steering condition. Why? The reason is that people don't communicate with the technology. This graph shows how often people send a message and receive it across the treatment. You can see people are less likely to exchange messages when they drive with auto-steering assistant. This finding supports the intelligence assistant can change people's attitude toward others. So in contrast to the typical behavioral experiment involving simple binary choices, this experiment allows us to examine the trajectory and temporal speed of each player's driving. So using this trajectory data, we evaluated their social value orientation in an XY coordination of reward to self and reward to others. So in this graph, each dot represents the trajectory of player in a round in the manual condition. So you can see the large variety of social value orientation. Some people are a little bit selfish. They do not give reward to others. Some people, it's really prosocial, like they give more benefit to others, even they reducing their reward to self. So it's typical. It's in a little bit contrast to traditional economic theory, like maximizing self-interest. In the real world, people have so variety of social orientation. People sometimes have some satisfaction to give reward to others. That's good. But with auto-steering assistant, about 90% of time and person behave selfishly without giving a reward to others. This is how reciprocity dissolves in the sessions of auto-steering assistant. We also found social inertia of intelligence assistant effect. So we conduct a supplementary experiment where auto-steering assistant was activated or deactivated in the middle of the game between the round 5 and round 6. So when people start with manual driving and they were allowed to use auto-steering support from round 6, they quickly adjust. You can see they quickly adjust their behavior to this technical change. The last 5 rounds, they drive egocentric way. But when they started with auto-steering support, then it's deactivated in the middle, they continue egocentric driving. So reciprocity needs mutual agreement where people can expect their counterpart cooperative return. So you needed to assume your counterpart give me reward if I give reward now. Okay? This is a normal reciprocity. But once this normal, such a tacit agreement dissolved, it's hard to recover. This finding suggests the behavioral change with intelligent assistant can affect humans' normative dimension beyond just environmental adaptation. So here is my talk summary. I use online social experiment to explore the potential of machine intelligence to address or aggravate, especially in the last case, the challenge in collective action. These studies show the machine intelligence for public good need to consider social network and social norms that humans have developed in coordination and cooperation challenges. Some social norms have been developed to address a joint problem, but these can collapse when people are allowed to leave the coordination decision to machines. Okay, that's all from me today. Thank you very much. And I also thank my research founder and colleagues for all their support. Thank you very much. Then I'd happy to take a question.
Are there any questions? Maybe I will start. Yeah, please. Maggie, please.
Yep.
Hi, Professor. It's a great honor to hear this wonderful presentation. And also, I was super impressed. So for your first study,
Yep.
you mentioned that you also evaluate people's perception of their peers. So after they play the game, and then I remember most of people when evaluating their peers, they may have some judgment on their peers' performance, but not necessarily questioning on those peers' intentions. So I was wondering, because in real world, those social bots, they do not necessarily to be um like to behave in a nice way, so they may have some malicious intention. So if that's the case, if the bots behave in certain malicious way, do you think that will also influence people's perception of their peers' intention and then result in some different results?
I see. Yeah, that's an interesting question. So that means this study, actually I do not examine how such an intention change their participant perception. But actually, in this study, I do a post-game survey to ask them satisfaction with their behavior and their neighbors. Okay, then and also I also ask them about how much they think they have a bot in their network, because maybe our worry was that if people realize, okay, so this player looks like not human, that's why I change my behavior in certain way. So that means that it's not noise effect. It's effect of the realization of the bot, right? In that case. So we tested whether people can realize the integration bot in the network. Then we found people could not identify they have a bot or not. So that means here is a bot. It's just random, right? There's no intention. Because I just program, just maybe afterward, we can give some meaning to some random behavior bot. But in the program, it's actually the random, really. So that there is no intention in this case. And let's say we humans have some intention to behave. In that case, in this experiment, people cannot distinguish intentional behavior and unintentional behavior. Okay, so that's one thing. And also, the interesting is that when the game was not solved and they could not earn the money, they think they have a bot. Okay, regardless they have actually bot or not. Also, after controlling the solvability, okay, so that means basically people are happy if the game is solved. If the game had not solved, people just unsatisfied with the situation. So regardless of their neighbor's intention, they more evaluate it with the outcome. So it might be a little bit biased in this case because their purpose is here to earn the money, right? Then unsolved session, they just less money. So it's just simply unsatisfactory, right? But after controlling such a game solvability, then I found actually the bot noisiness, here's unintentional behavior from your perspective, reduce their satisfaction. Okay, so the interesting point is here, as I told you, like 10% noisiness actually improves the solvability of the game. So at the end, that makes them happy, right? Because the game is solved, they earn the money. But after controlling, so that means, for example, in the middle of the game, probably, especially the neighbor of the bot, like a neighbor of the noisy bot, can be unsatisfied with their behavior, such unintentional things. Okay, so that means that here is maybe some malicious for some unintentional, irrational behavior. can help group coordination, especially if the coordination has some like a rugged solution space, as I told you. Because if they have a rugged solution space, they are likely to stuck in the local minima. Then such a noisy behavior can help to overcome to global minima. So that means such a irrational or some marginal behavior might actually help social coordination to optimal way. But in the process of such a social coordination, people are likely to be annoyed with it. So that's why I told you it's kind of like a misalignment with individual benefit and group benefit. Eventually, they can be happy with if the game is solved with such a noisy bot. But in the middle of the game, such an unintentional behavior that the people could not understand why this player changed color so quickly. It's just simply annoying and irritated and makes them unhappy. So maybe my answer is a little bit different from what you want, but hopefully it will touch on your question in some way.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So after people observe that some noise will contribute to higher success rate, do they still were they successful in concluding that perhaps some noise will be helpful?
I see. So basically, I didn't mention or say anything about, for example, your game is solved because of the noisy bot. Simply, if they solve this game, hey, we reached the goal, right? We can solve this puzzle as a group, then they become happier. Okay, and the noisy bot actually helps such a coordination process, as my study shows, at least statistically. But like a player in this setting, they don't know why this game can be solved, right? Then in the middle game, if you have some noisy bot in your neighbors, you probably annoy. Why this player is changed the color even if it's over already, right? But actually, such noisy behavior can help to address this coordination process to the end. So after the game ends, people just focus on this game is solved or not, right? Then they evaluate their satisfaction based on the result, not the process.
So they may not understand what happened, but still, if it's successful, then
it's really hard. So even if I play this game with other player, it's really hard to what's going on other place. But yeah, that's why the coordination problem is hard.
So maybe we also give opportunity to some other Eric, please.
Sorry, you are muting. So
yes. Thank you for the presentation. I really think this is fascinating line of research, and I think you've presented it very nicely.
Thank you.
So I guess my question is how we might apply some what we learn in these kind of controlled experiments to what we see out there now. So so I guess in terms of what we learned from the experiment, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think some of the principles that you're aiming at, one is sort of the structure of the problem, the difficulty of the problem is one kind of parameter or one consideration. Another is the centrality of the robot that's put in. That presumably is a measure of kind of the influence in some ways, right? Another is kind of the behavior then of the robot, including noisiness, etc. And I'm sure there's some other kind of principles there, and there are some lessons that are gradually emerging through your experiments. So I'm probably not didn't catch it enough that I could articulate what those lessons are. But if you I'm thinking in terms of something like I'm thinking about the elections, for example, in the United States, and there's a role of, bots have been sort of, armies of bots have been set out into social media platforms, either to disrupt or do others. So there's some intentionality. So if we think of sort of a successful election as a kind of a game, a cooperative game, I'm not sure if it satisfies all the requirements of a cooperative game, but when you sort of look at what's going on in the world out there in terms of social media platforms and the use of bots, what are some of the lessons that you sort of see? Well, leave it at that. I think you understand the question.
Okay. So, to before answering your question, so let me explain a little bit about the intention of my study. So, for example, 2017's work and 2020's work, I think my work is more testing a theoretical prediction in the game theory idea, like a global optimization problem and like a cooperation problem. It's well known in the game theory.
Yes.
So in these cases, I use like a bot as a treatment. Show, because so I just want to know how individual can change like a global structure. Then actually the bot is really great tool to this case because we can control.
Yes.
Right. We don't necessarily to evaluate the behavior afterward.
Right.
So that's strength of the bot. Because for example, like a random noise case is I know this is a bot.
Right.
But typically when we observe such a behavior afterward, we might give some meaning to the behavior. Hey, maybe these guys have some visionary to know what's going on in the future. Right. So that's why I use a bot. But in the real world, actually, this technology might be more realized. Like, hey, now the Twitter and X has a lot of like a chatbot. Now the ChatGPT is likely we can communicate with each other. So interestingly, we started to use a bot just sociology methodology for social sciences. But now we can consider the application of this study directly to the real world. Okay.
Yes.
So that's why now you can see like my last study is more including really real context, like hey, here's a car, then this is like a treatment is like a semi-automation. Actually, it's realistic control is like a level 1 and level 2 autonomous driving control actually for that. So my study, not only this, my study more likely to including a real world context. Allow them to apply more directly to real world context. Okay, so that's one answer to that in overall my research agenda. So hopefully the next 3 years I can show more study including a realistic context based on such a social and economic theory. Then to answer your question about like an election or something like that, one thing I can say is that making people defect, so that means making people free ride, it's much easier program than to make people cooperate. For example, in the experiment, to make people to defect, it's easy. That's why I think such a martial bot can be easy to deploy.
Yes.
To, for example, make people like fragmented and feel fear to like blame with each other.
Right.
Then like a prisoner dilemma or the cooperation challenges suggested making people cooperate hard. Now, like a researcher, including me, to try to studying how we can use such a technology for opposite way. For example, my studies show like making people actually reducing a tie might be improved like social cohesion. Actually, that is opposite way to social media do.
Right.
So still, my work just suggestion and it's less impactful. But I hope like working with colleagues to show, hey, maybe we have other way to use this technology to make people more cooperative. And my study, and as I showed, like Google DeepMind build on our work to more comprehensive way to show like other recommendation strategy to do that. So yeah, maybe you have something, but
well, just one a kind of related question. Do you see the potential for sort of reverse engineering in a way, so that, for example, in the context of one of your games, someone who doesn't know, say one of your colleagues, right, who's kind of doing the same kind of work, might be able to come in and observe the game and figure out which one might be the bot based on behaviors, right? And so in a sense, kind of reverse engineering to kind of ferret out bots, or identify bots.
Yes, I think it's possible, but I think now is like based on my work and other work, the current generative AI can be more cooperative than humans. So that means that in the real world, like X and Twitter, maybe you might have some idea like a malicious bot. The bot is really bad behavior, but in reality, actually, the humans behave more badly than bots. Bots just kind of like highlight it in some way to disseminate misinformation. Yes, that's true, but human disseminate such a misinformation more than the bot. So now it's a bit difficult. Now it's more like a bot is more sophisticated. At the same time, it's also unnecessary to, of course, we should detect the malicious bot to removing on online communication, but at the same time, we can use a bot to support human cooperativity. Actually, my ongoing work in this line to that and show some potential of using technology to help people to cooperate with each other. Not necessarily make friends, in my opinion, but cooperate in some way, especially to challenge like a global problem.
Thank you.
So there are some questions on in the comments. So this question by Wu Yiwen asked, "Thank you very much for the inspiring talk. In the first two studies, were players aware of the existence of bots when playing? Will awareness of bots change people's choices and strategies?" Thank you.
So in the first two studies, in the main experiment, we didn't inform they have a bot and they're playing with the bot. So that means the player didn't know they play with the bot. Because we want to examine, as I told you, like we examine the effect of behavior. For example, randomness or like this tie engagement works or not. But we also did supplemental experiment to make people know they're playing with bot. So we do not explore all conditions. We only pick up the best condition. For example, 10% noise central location in the first study, and also this disengaged time management bot in the second study. Then in the supplemental condition, we reveal the identity of the bot. So that means that they informed, hey, some of you are bots. And if you play with the bot in like a network diagram, we indicated this is the bot. So that the player can choose whether to follow the bot behavior or not. The result doesn't change. So that means that even they know they're playing with the bot and they know this suggestion comes from the bot, if they have some cooperation benefit or the coordination, cooperation group, coordination optimization, they are fine. So that their behavior doesn't change and the effect of the bot still remain even they know the bot. Then some of you might know some other work show like, especially two-player settings. So that means that if I play with the bot, they know their counterpart, the bot, they do not cooperate, for example, or do not share their economic incentives with the bot. Many studies show such a different behavior with the bot if they bot reveal. But in my case, such a negative effect does not show up in the study. One difference is this study most of the pair, and my case is many people with few bots. And if they, I haven't tested yet, but my understanding about these differences is if people get some cooperation or the coordination benefit with the group, and the group, including some bot, they don't care. But if they exchange something with a bot directly, then the counterpart identity does matter. Because in this case, especially economic game, why we give the money to the bot? Even the bot cannot use it, right? So there's some differences. But to answer the question, some conditions, some experiment, yes, we show the bot identity is the player, but this effect doesn't change, doesn't affect the benefit of the bot in my experiment.
Okay, Maggie, maybe you just ask your question.
Yeah, thank you so much for this. I was actually inspired by your previous answer, so I was wondering, because currently your bots seem to be more rule-based, meaning that in the beginning you specify the rules for them to operationalize. And then I was wondering how your line of research can be empowered or combined with the current generative agents empowered by large language models, so that the thoughts could be more vision based instead of role based.
Actually, my ongoing project, some of my ongoing projects, including like a recent development of like a generative model and large language model, and also in some other work. For example, like I can show like a Google Mind extension of our work, and they use deep reinforcement learning to explore the solution space more comprehensively. So in my case, it's more theory-based and rule-based, as you told you. So that means even if I tested more than 8 policies, maybe it's not enough, and some policy might be work well, right? So I haven't explored on my own, but Google DeepMind do such a thing. Like this, like my other work, actually to more consider about, sometimes, some cases like a generative AI, but I also interested like multi-agent reinforcement learning to examine like the nature of cooperation among agents. So for example, like in humans, we have some social norm, as I told you in the last study. For example, then it looks like obvious. We human behave like this, like, hey, we should take time to give away. If you get a gift, then I feel some obligation to give back, right? But why? Why will you do that? So maybe some specific condition, some specific social condition might make agent, not here is not human, make agent develop such a specific norm or the policy, right? In specific ways, I'm very interested in that aspect. So in this case, I use more like a generative, not necessarily generative, but more like learning type of the agent, not rule-based. But yeah, I didn't include that. But yes, I'm very interested in this research direction and actually doing that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the audience? If there's no other question, maybe let me ask one question.
Okay.
So you mentioned this, like you framed this in terms of like interaction between human and the bots. But imagine that's not really a bot. It's some kind of human with some particular personality. Like that's what's more likely to happen in real world. And so what do you think that's the implication for real world situation? Just a general situation. Any?
I actually my initial intention, for example, for first study in 2017, I'm more thinking about like hey, like some like random behavior actually help to social coordination, right? So in that case, for example, some great reader might do some deviant behavior in the networks might help to social coordination better. And in this case, it's not necessarily artificial agent. So that means that humans might take the policy or the idea to, for example, manage their group or the social networks too. So, and also we can apply this like bot techniques to study the how specific character of humans to like affect like a group behavior. So you might be imagining like some people might be very strict to their local role. Some people might be more fluent in their behavior. Then maybe we position these people in specific way in the networks might help them to coordinate better or worse. For example, based on our findings, if we put in such a people very strict to rule their local in the central location, they are likely to stuck in the local minimum and they cannot reach global optimum. But it's also for them, it's hard to change the local color because they have a lot of constraints. So that means if you change one color from one to them, then many people are affected. So typically, central people are stuck to their best color, even they know they needed to change the color to do that. So maybe in that case, the central people should have some brave to deviate their situation to reach global optimization. So yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. So my study's finding is not necessary to like artificial intelligence machines. We can also apply these findings to human behavior or just human organization.
Thank you very much. It's very inspiring.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? So if there's no other questions from the audience, then let's thank Professor Cervedo. It's a great pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Really,
thank you for a lot of questions.
It's really an exciting talk. Thank you.
And also that if you have a question, please email me. I'd be happy to answer if you come up after the talk.
Everyone, if you have questions, for you of the audience on YouTube or other channels, if you have questions, also please email.
Yeah, just email me directly.
You will.
I'd be happy to answer.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.